This is Pro Series Off Topic.
Welcome back to Off Topic. This is episode 56. It was a big week this week on the Pro Series. We had a sit-down interview with Jeff McQueen. The episode is doing better than most episodes, so it's out of the gate. So I'm really, really excited about that. It was really cool. I kind of joked about it on social media. We kind of did it Joe Rogan style. We sat in his office and did it face to face. It was a great episode, so go ahead, listen to that. He is a founder and co-owner and president of McQueen Building Company here in Pittsburgh. They kind of do everything with residential design. We get into all of that. We talk a lot about marketing. So if you're in the marketing world or you're in a company that are struggling with marketing, we talk all about his story. We both really love marketing, so we kind of spend a lot of time on that. But it's a great episode, so go listen to it. Again, it's in person, so you could go over to Spotify or YouTube and actually listen to it and watch it at the same time. It's a great episode. Can't speak any more highly of it. It was a great episode. We are going to do another one in the future, and we do have more in-person podcasts coming up in the near future. I'm scheduling some of them already scheduled. I do really like the in-person episodes a lot better. They seem more personable. They seem more comfortable in a way. I think these episodes when I'm doing them on myself are the most uncomfortable episodes because I'm literally it's just me in my basement recording on my phone. But the Zoom episodes are great too. But sometimes I'm just kind of forced to do those ones because a lot of these guests do not live in Pittsburgh. They're all around the world. So, which I'm blessed with. It's so awesome that we have Zoom and we're able to do that. It's such a cool concept that we're able to do with technology nowadays. And it's awesome. I've met some great people around the world and have made some really awesome connections with so many different people, and not just in the design industry, just in entrepreneurs in general. And it's been really fun to do that with the Pro Series, but there are some more in-person episodes on the way. So go check that one out with Jeff McQueen that came out this week. And let's get over to the main topic for Off Topic this week, episode 56. I have a list of the top 8 lighthearted stereotypes or misconceptions about the United States home design that people outside of the U.S. might find amusing. Some of these are actually kind of funny, and some of them I actually agree with. So number 1, supersized everything. That idea that every American home is like a mansion with oversized furniture, huge kitchens, and enormous bathrooms, like thanks to the bigger and better mentality. Number 2, white picket fences. The image of America's suburban homes with white picket fence, a perfect manicured lawn, and perhaps even a mailbox shaped like a mini house. To tell you the truth, I don't think I've ever seen a full community with white picket fence. I've seen, a couple houses in the white picket fence, but I know that's a huge stereotype, but I've never actually seen a full subdivision with that. I think it would look really cool. And I do get why people see that because it's all over movies. So people across seas or in different countries probably see America as that if they've never actually visited America. But you don't really see that a lot. I feel like that's more of a country or probably the older neighborhoods that have that. Number 3, themed rooms. The perception that Americans love themed rooms such as cowboy themed bedrooms or retro diners in their kitchens inspired by Hollywood movies or TV shows. At first, I was really confused by that because I didn't really know that many people that had themed rooms. And then I kind of looked around, like I'm sitting here in my basement now that I designed this whole basement to feel like a Nashville or a country music themed area. And it's kind of funny because I was kind of starting to judge it, but I'm sitting here with country music everywhere in this basement. It's kind of funny. So number 4, excess of use of flags. The belief that American homes are adored by the flags everywhere, from the front porch to the living room, reflecting a strong sense of patriotism. I mean, I think that's awesome. I mean, do other countries don't do that? I mean, it's kind of, yeah, okay. Number 5, open concept everything. The stereotype that every American home is designed with an open floor plan, with no walls separating the kitchen's dining room area and living room, fostering a sense of spaciousness and sociability. I totally get this. I think you get that mostly from TV. I don't think every house in America has that. I think that's what people strive for. Growing up in a house that is open was very open concept. I would never want an open concept house. It is very loud, especially if you have kids. These big grand rooms with the 2-story family rooms or the 2-story and foyers, they carry a lot of sound. So if you do have kids, I just never understood the open concept everything. I think it is dying a little bit. I think people are realizing that, and they're realizing how much space they're losing with that huge 2-story living. When it comes to like 2-story living rooms, and if you don't know design, that's basically not having a floor above your family room, so you have the big skylight windows or fireplace from, you have 20-foot ceilings or however high they are. That's what I'm talking about there. There's a lot of room there for noise to get around the house. So to me, I think that's really just TV driven or media driven, that they think that they perceive that everybody in America has an open concept. I just think everybody in America wants the open concept in those shows and media and everything. But I think a lot of houses nowadays they're definitely get higher ceilings, and they're definitely getting higher and bigger rooms to make it feel more open. But I think that open concept, like the whole first floor is open, I think that's kind of dying in a way. If you look in some of the model homes, yeah, maybe the family room into the kitchen is very open. But it's not as much as the whole entire first floor is like that. I think people are realizing how much space they're losing, or just how loud it could get. Number 6, over the top holiday decoration. The notion that Americans go all out when it comes to decorating their holidays for Christmas or Halloween or just the fall in general, with light displays, inflatable decorations taking over their yard. On this one, I do feel personally attacked. As you know, I start decorating for Christmas. It's usually November 1st, but I've been doing it a little bit earlier now. Usually like the day before Halloween or a couple days before Halloween. Just, I can't get with only decorating for Christmas for 1 month. I think that's such a waste. I think my house looks the best during that time of the year. I decorate pretty much all my floors. Every room kind of has something to do with Christmas. I think that's the only holiday I decorate for. But I do get and understand why people might think that's a little weird. I do think the inflatables are a little weird. I think, your front yard's not a Macy Thanksgiving Day parade. Like, why are you doing that? Or those laser lights that you put on your house. It's just like, you're not at a rave in your front yard. But I do understand that. I think most countries just usually probably put up a wreath and a tree and call it a day. But we do kind of oversell it. But that's kind of what's kind of been shoved down our throats. I think anything that is extreme, especially in our country, is just stuff that's been shoved down our throats. And you get these holiday decorations 3 or 4 months before the holiday starting in the store. So like Christmas stuff will start coming out in like September, and there's so much of it. People love shopping. They see all of it. They want to buy it. They want to decorate their house. They see it on TV. They're watching these Christmas movies. They want to have that in their home. So I think that has a lot to do with media. I don't think it's just, if we didn't have that in the media, Americans would be doing that in their homes or outside their homes all the time. Number 7, garage obsessions. The stereotype that American homeowners are obsessed with their garages, using them not to just park their cars, but also to store space in workshops or even makeshift gyms. I never understood the obsession, but I never understood why people would think this is a weird obsession. But maybe in other countries, I just don't know how other people live and how their garage situations are. But I think, I'm speaking in terms of me not even having a garage right now. I wish I did. It's so much better for storage. where do you put your lawn stuff? Where do you put all that stuff you don't want tracked into your house? I think that's the perfect spot, is the garage. And I think in our country, we're getting really obsessed with organization. I think since a little bit before COVID, I think pantry organizations, closet and organizations, and garage organizations have been really, really big, and something what everybody wants to do. And I think that's kind of where you're kind of getting that garage obsession. But I think a garage is almost a must, especially when you have kids. Like, where do you put all their toys? Where do you put all their bikes, balls, all that stuff? So that's one that I I don't really understand. And last, number 8, cookie cutter subdivisions. The perception that many American neighborhoods consist of identical houses built with standardized blueprints, resulting in rows of homes that all look the same. Totally understand this. I don't get it either. I probably will end up in one of these subdivisions one day, and the main reason is they're just affordable housing. There's and they're new. I mean, if you want a new home and you want to custom build a home, or you want to just build a home, you almost forced to go to these people unless you want to afford. I mean, it's so hard to custom build a house nowadays, even in this area, without going. I mean, they're starting out at like $800 to $900,000 to just build a house. But if you go to one of these cookie cutter subdivisions, you could start out at 300,000 or 400,000. So it's just affordable. So if you want a new house for a family and you want it big enough for a family, it's just the way to go. I think a lot of countries maybe don't understand that, but if you realize some of these, I call quote unquote magazine homes, where you kind of pick your model and go build from there through a book, they have it down to a science. They could build fast, which can be a downside, but they also have it down to a science for square footage wise. Some of these magazine home companies have every square inch utilized. So there's no wasted space. So if you have a big family, it's perfect for you. It is an open floor plan or whatever you want, but it has every square inch utilized, which is genius for someone that has a big family and wants to build a home. I think, yes, outside looking in, this might look weird or sound weird, but it is just realistic in this country. They're popping up everywhere. Are they all built with great quality? No. But if you're only planning on living in it 5 to 10 years, it's the next person's fault, or the next person's issues that you kind of have to deal with. But I mean, I understand that. And I think it started back in the like World War II when they started doing the levee houses. I mean, they all look the same, or the salt block houses, or all of them that just kind of popped up. This has been in our country for years. It's not just these magazine homes coming in and taking over the world. It's been like this for years. I totally get it. I think other countries value character and the craftsmanship of a home more than Americans do in general. I think in there's a lot of Americans that still value quality work in the craftsmanship and details in a home, but I think majority are just trying to find a house that their family could fit in, that they could grow in, and that they'll love for that time period. Because most of the time, back in the day, you'd buy a house and you stay in it until you die, or you have to go into a nursing home. Nowadays, you're kind of just staying in that house until your kids kind of move off, and then you kind of downgrade to a patio home or something smaller that you live the rest of your life with, because you don't want that upkeep. I think valuing of life and time has been more valued nowadays, and I think a lot of people think that even with these new magazine homes, the lots are a lot tinier. Some of them, the houses are like 8 feet apart from each other, which some people are like, I would never move there. But people value the time spent with family, or maybe they both are dual income. So like the wife and the husband are both working. They don't have time to mow the lawn, or the little time they do have, they want to get it done fast, and their kids are in sports. Life has just changed. So these cookie cutter subdivisions have kind of become a better situation, or a better solution for these families in America. So I totally get and understand this, but I think it's just practical. That's all we have. Those are the stereotypes. Let me know if you agree with them. Some of them, as you know, I agree and disagree with. Listen to the whole podcast if you're just listening to this on social media on a reel. It is really cool to hear these and see the outside looking in on our home designs here in the U.S. Let's get into country music. This week was a huge week for country music. So many good songs. We'll save the best for last, and I think you know what I'm talking about. It's been teased for many weeks, but let's start with the album releases of the week. First up, Brian Kelly, Tennessee Truth. Great album. I think it was long awaited. If you don't remember Brian Kelly, he's one half of Florida Georgia Line, and Florida Georgia Line had a lot going on in the news last week. Tyler Hubbard was on Bustin' with the Boys podcast, kind of told this story on from his perspective of their breakup. Brian Kelly heard it, reached out to Bustin' with the Boys, and then they released an episode with Brian Kelly with this in the same week. I haven't heard both of them, so I don't really have an opinion on them. I like both Tyler Hubbard and Brian Kelly. I don't think any of their feud will change my perspective on them. I think they both solely sound very different. I think Tyler Hubbard's music kind of still leans to that FGL sound. I think Brian Kelly's taken that more country sound. And I think his album is great. If you're going to go listen to it, some of the top songs that I think are worth listening to is Acres, Kiss My Boots, and probably Dirt Road Date Night. Go check that out. It's his debut album. He's had some EP singles throughout the years, but I think this is a great body of work and such a great work to start on his solo career. Next up, Scotty McCreery. We talked about many times in this podcast of how I think he's a very underrated or one of the most underrated country artists. But he released his new song called Rise, or his new album called Rise and Fall, and it has that number one or close to a number one song, Cabin a Solo. Great song, and it's a great album. If you like that old 90s sound, I think Scotty did a great job with this album. It sounds like that. He is going back to what made him fall in love with country music. Speaking of that, his number 9 track on the album is called No Country for Old Men, kind of talking about how a lot of these old country fans hate new country. And that's what this song's about. There's no real country music, new country music nowadays for these older generations. It's kind of a cool song. Porch is also a great song. That's number 13. And then again, Cabin a Solo, his current single, number 2 on the album. But great song. Lastly, for album releases of the week, Casey Musgraves came out with her Apple Music Live album. It is a bunch of songs off of many of her pieces of work, from Golden Hour to her newest album, Deeper Well. She, I think, thrives in these acoustic live sessions. So I almost sometimes like her acoustic live sessions better than her recorded music. I just think you could feel her energy and the emotion in the song more. I don't know how to explain that, but I just think she's one of those artists that is better live than she is recording, which is, I think, a huge compliment. I don't think there's many artists that could do that. I think it's usually the other way around. They suck live and they're only good album wise, and then you kind of look back and forth on what that actually means. Is it that they're getting auto-tuned and stuff? Yeah. And then going into singles, War and Treaty came off the song Leads Me Home. War and Treaty is a really, really cool group that I really love. They've really exploded in the past so many years. They were on Zach Bryan's album last year, and their voices are just absolutely insane. I love them. They have some great music. I can't wait for them to have their first number one on country radio, or just or just pop off. I think they're just a great 2 duos in country music. Next up, Avriana came out with another song, Blonde. She is taking that social media TikTok world by storm, when really taking a grip on that. I think there's not many artists that are really taking advantage of that. I think Post Malone and Morgan Wallen did, which we talk about later on. Avriana's doing that. Shabuzi did that very well. Outside of the country world, Meghan Trainor does it extremely well. I think she's the queen at doing that. she kind of started that whole teasing music on TikTok and making the dances, all that stuff to promote her song. And I think a lot of country music artists are doing that now. Nate Smith, that's how he got started. It's just a really cool concept that they're really trying to lean into that country route. But Avery Anna has a new song called Blonde. I think she's getting ready for an album because she's releasing songs left and right. But Blonde's a great song. Go check that out. Daniel Bradbury is next up. Again, very underrated artist. She won The Voice way back in the day, if you don't remember her. She came out with a song. It's very, very different. I kind of don't know if it's actually country or not. I know last album she had, or last EP she had, she kind of talked about how she likes country music, likes R&B, and likes to kind of marry them together and kind of make music that way. And I think this song might be a little bit more leaning towards R&B. It's called Wedding or a Funeral. Great song. But go check it out. Let me know what you think. But it is very, very different. And different than any type of music that I've heard her sing or you'd hear on country radio. Matt Stell came out with another single called Born Lonely. To me, this might be a song that's growing on me. I'm not a huge fan of it yet, but maybe I will. And another song that's not growing on me yet is Reba's new song, I Can't. I imagine that this song will be sung on The Voice. Maybe it will grow on me. She hasn't released new music in a long time, but she's Reba. So I imagine it's going to go very well. She sounds just as good as ever. So I imagine, I think it probably will grow on me. Reba has a great catalog of music. Next up, Mitchell Tenpenny is a single, Not Today. Great album, or great song. I'm a huge fan of Mitchell Tenpenny. There is a music video out of this I saw that, like, I think Jeff Johnson produced, which I need to go check out. It looked really, really cool. I think Mitchell Tenpenny kind of leans into the creative side of his music very, very well. That's something he does very well, and can't wait to listen or see that or watch that music video. Next up, Thomas Rhett, Beautiful as You, good song. I think this is kind of going back to his Life Changes sound in a way, but also kind of leaning into some of the country stuff that he has released in the past couple of years when he kind of switched from that EDM pop-ish sound to this roots of country music that he grew up with. And then Chase Rice came out with a song called Fireside. I really like this song. It's very, very different from him, or really any music. I've never heard a song kind of like this. Really different. Go check that out. I think it could be a cool, fun, late night summer song that, you're out at the fire. It's a really cool song. Lastly, the song of the week, and probably the song of the summer, which broke records on Friday when it was released, for most streamed country song ever on Spotify. And that is Post Malone and Morgan Wallen with I Had Some Help. They teased this months ago on TikTok, just the chorus, and everybody has been waiting eagerly. They sang the whole thing on Stagecoach. It's just so weird nowadays with this music and how it's leaning with social media, how artists are teasing it, which I do like, but I miss those days when an artist announces a single maybe like that week of it being released, or a month out or whatever, and you're just anticipating that release. And you don't know what it sounds like. So maybe it might leak, but nowadays every artist leaks their music, and you already know the chorus of the song before the song comes out. And I think a lot of people that are hating on this song on social media are disappointed because the chorus has been out for so long. And when you're so used to that chorus and you hear everything else in the song, like the intro and everything, it just is a downgrade. But I think overall it's a great song. It's a great first full single in the country world for Post Malone. I think he is very welcomed into the country music industry. Everybody really, really likes him. His sound is great for country music. I did see on Twitter this week that he tweeted in like 2014 or something like that, that when he turned 30, he wanted to be a country folk artist. And because that's something that he leans more towards. And it's funny that he's about to be 29, I think, in July. I think I looked that up, and a year and a half early, he's already doing it. And this song is going to be huge. It's going to break records. It already has broken some records. If you haven't listened to that, I highly suggest it. I've listened to it hundreds and hundreds of times since it came out on Friday, and I'm not joking. It's a great song. Going into the media based chart this week, number 5 is Sam Hunt with Outskirts. Number 4 this week, Bailey Zimmerman, Where It Ends. Number 3 this week, Jordan Davis with Tucson, Too Late. Number 2 this week, Tyler Hubbard with Back Then, Right Now. And the number 1 song of the week, jumping up from number 6 last week, Lainey Wilson with Wildflowers and Wild Horses. Lainey Wilson also announced that her new album will be coming out in August, and then she announced this morning that she has a song coming out tonight from this new album. Very excited. Lainey is just breaking records and just on top of the world right now. I know she has that new Hulu documentary. I'm not sure if it's out yet. Can't wait to listen to that. It's funny when these artists kind of pop out of nowhere. You think it's kind of an overnight success, and I can't wait to hear the whole story, because she's been there for, I think she moved to Nashville when she was like 19 or something. It was like 12 years of not getting any like success in country music up until, it was like 2020 or 2021 when What a Boy Would Ought to Know, like her first single got number 1. And she wasn't really that big then. She had that number 1. Yeah, that was a big song. But it wasn't until, just a few years ago, she just blew up. And she hasn't looked back, and it's just been a whirlwind. And I think she talks about that. I think that's actually the name of her next album. And I can't wait for it. Huge Lainey fan, huge direction that she's kind of changing the way with country music. I think she's changing the way with country music for females, where Morgan Wallen and Zach Bryan are really trying to, or they're really paving the way for country music for men. And I love the direction it's going. I think there's a lot more fans in country music now because of them, and it's great. And this happens all the time. I think people forget that Garth did this, Shania did this. It happens a lot that they just grab outside people from other genres and bring them in, fan wise. And country music is one of the biggest genres in this country, and I think it's kind of even doing that throughout the world now, that country music is just becoming a staple, and it's constantly changing, which is good. And I know we've talked about this many times, where if you don't change, you don't go anywhere, and that's kind of when things die, kind of like rock and roll kind of did. Rock and roll was the number 1 genre for so long, and now it's kind of like country and pop, with hip hop kind of falling behind them. But yeah, can't wait to listen to that new album, that new song tonight. Watch that documentary. But that's all we have this week for Pro Series. We have another episode of Pro Series coming out on Wednesday with an architect. It's really always fun to listen to and talk to an architect and their background story. And he also wrote a book for entrepreneurs about starting businesses, which is really cool. So if you are just trying to start a business, or you're an architect, this episode is for you. And I really hope, I kind of over the weeks have been trying to get new and different guests, kind of broaden the podcast, and to not just being a design podcast, but kind of talk about the whole footprint and the blueprint of someone's career, and really any career, just entrepreneurial wise. It's kind of how you get started, and just hearing those stories, because you never know what story will relate to you at home listening to this and inspire you to maybe follow that person or follow their story, or something that they said in that podcast has maybe changed the way you look at things and maybe pivoted your direction or your goals to get to where you want. That's my favorite part about hearing what people say about the podcast and what they love about the podcast. So stay tuned this week for another episode, and hope everybody has a great Mother's Day today. Do something for your mom, and we'll talk next week.